Please note that the following video may contain graphic material of injuries and or murders and descriptions thereof and may be upsetting to some viewers. Viewer discretion is therefore advised. Farm attacks and murders in South Africa with urban bug. In this video we're covering the statistics of murders and attacks on farms and rural areas in South Africa for October 2023. Good afternoon, I'm Klaas and welcome to Urban Bug. The total number of attacks for the month of October were 14. We lost 2 people to murders on farms or rural dwellings in South Africa, and we're also going to cover one extraordinary case in this video. We're going to cover the murders first, and the very first case that we're talking is that of Jaden Lowe, 14 years old. He lost his life on the 7th of October 2023. During a house robbery, Jaden was shot at point blank range with a shotgun. The armed intruders forced their way into the house, and Jaden put himself between the intruders and his mother when he was fatally wounded. He was rushed to hospital, but unfortunately it was too late and his young life was tragically ended. We sometimes get involved in somebody else's trouble and therefore put ourselves at risk, putting ourselves in the line of fire. And that's exactly what Leslie Stark did. On the 23rd of October in the Nkomazi area, and I'll cover the robbery part of this case as well later on. It was in the early hours of the morning, around about 5 o'clock in the morning, and Leslie ran to the aid of a neighbor while she was being held at gunpoint by several intruders demanding money and cell phones. He was in turn severely assaulted and stabbed, and he was left for dead after the attackers fled. With this last bit of energy, he managed to reach neighbors who rushed him to hospital. Unfortunately, he passed away en route to the facility. May both of them rest in peace. I'm going to try and work my way through the attacks as fast as possible, but also to retain the effectiveness of this production. Some people did mention that the videos are getting a bit long, and it's time consuming watching the videos, but yeah, let's have a look at the attacks for October. On the 3rd of October, Japo and Sarita van Staden were attacked on their farm at Mopani in the Musina district, Limpopo province. The attackers fled with their Mahindra truck and a trailer loaded with stolen goods and, amongst others, firearms and electronic equipment. Community Policing Forum CPF members in pursuit apprehended 2 of them initially after the vehicle got stuck in a riverbed. They were on their way to Zimbabwe. 2 others were later apprehended. Japo and Sarita, both around about 70, only sustained light injuries. And it once again indicates the effectiveness of your CPF and your security agencies or your security companies on the ground, and also then good communication in your farming community. The next one was also in the Musina district. 4 terrorists crossed the border from Zimbabwe to South Africa and attacked an elderly farmer 40 kilometers from Musina. Let's put it up on the screen now. I can show you what it looks like. They tortured him and eventually tied him to a border fence post and also cuffed him before fleeing with his vehicle across the Limpopo River. This is a type of injuries that people sustain during these attacks. People say that one shouldn't be allowed to show these, but I don't think anybody realizes what the extent of farm attacks are, and it's therefore necessary. And I've shown it in the past as well, and I will show it again in the future to show you what it looks like after a person has been attacked by these barbarians. It looked like we actually skipped one here. That was in the Waterberg district of Limpopo. An elderly and physically handicapped Jana Smith was attacked and household goods stolen. Fleeing attackers also torched the surrounding veld, but no suspects were arrested. On the 11th of October, further south, just north of Pretoria, during a home invasion on a small holding, a father and his children were threatened with firearms after they were tied up and the safe was broken into and several items stolen and the house ransacked. Also in the Gauteng province, but a bit more to the west or southwest of Johannesburg, Louis S. takes his workers home after a day's work, and upon his return he was attacked by seven armed intruders. He was shot in the leg and severely assaulted before he was robbed of firearms and his cell phone. 16 October, Humansdorp in the Eastern Cape. An unknown victim was assaulted or attacked by 4 intruders, stabbed in the shoulder, whereafter they fled with his SUV. 4 suspects, including 1 female, was apprehended and the SUV was returned. Then on the 18th of October, at Onderstepoort area in the Pretoria area. Onderstepoort is an agricultural research area or research facility in South Africa, just north of Pretoria. Flip van der Merwe and 2 of his colleagues left the research centre when suspects from a Golf GTI opened fire on them. Flip was subsequently hit in the back and his colleagues were pulled out of the vehicle and they were robbed of personal items. Flip was admitted to hospital and his condition was serious. Unfortunately, I don't have any further news on Flip, but I believe he is doing well. The Percy 5 area in the Mokopane district is also home to a nature reserve where there's a lot of poaching. There's also the research facility for the Pretoria Zoo, which I happen to have the privilege of visiting one day for work-related purposes, I must add. And in the early hours of the morning of 22nd of October, an unknown man in that area was overpowered in his home by 2 intruders wielding a knife and a firearm. They tied him up and they demanded money, but he told them that he had none in the house. They plundered the house and fled with a pellet gun, a radio set, food and some other items. Spoor was followed to a nearby informal settlement, but unfortunately it got lost over there. As I mentioned earlier when we discussed the case of Leslie Stark's murder, the 23rd of October, that was about 5 o'clock in the morning, an unknown elderly woman was attacked, assaulted with a pistol against her skull, and she was stabbed as well. Her calls for help reached Leslie Stark, as we reported previously. Attackers demanded money and a cell phone, and they fled after severely attacking and stabbing Leslie. On the 25th of October, Gert and Jan Bekes were attacked on their farm Rietfontein in the Warden area. That's in the Free State province. Gert sustained injuries consistent with an axe attack while Jan was strangled. The Kameeldrift area northwest of Pretoria is fast becoming a hotspot with a lot of incidents on a regular basis. Some of the problems in that area is alcohol abuse, drugs, prostitution, and a high density of foreign nationals. Now, some of these foreign nationals with a bit of money are starting to buy up a lot of property with the idea of developing low-cost, high-density housing in the area. It's an area where there are frequent incidents that cannot be handled by the police anymore. So it's the task of security companies in that area to mop up and try and sort out and try and create a bit of law and order. David Norkea is one of the residents in this area, and on the 27th of October he was outside when he was approached by 2 suspect males, and when he tried to flee, or when they rushed him, he threw a folding table at them and he tried to flee, but they shot him in the chest. His fiancée was very quick to alert people on the WhatsApp group, and security forces responded immediately. He was fortunate to survive the attack. Scarcely a week later, I'm talking this 27th of October was last week, That was last Sunday or last Monday, if I look at the date. And now in this past few days, there was another attack in that same area. So the control over what's happening in that area it seems like it's slipping, and the crime is just escalating in this area. I actually know somebody that stays in that area personally, and he says it's rough. It's really an area that you don't want to be staying in, unless you've got a lot of money to pay for a lot of additional security per month. We're going to continue with the extraordinary case, and a case that is also very sensitive in terms of emotions and because of the circumstances surrounding this event. When I did the background on this specific event, I learned that in that specific area, a week before the death of this farmer, people were apprehended after they were torching or setting the veld alight at intervals of about 5 kilometers. And they were lucky to get these people, but sometimes with the fighting of these fires, you find it difficult to believe that people can actually get out of it alive if you consider that veld fires are running at about 45 kilometers an hour. And if you are a human being, it's virtually almost impossible to outrun a veld fire like that. Unfortunately, Basie van der Walt was caught up in such a situation. While he and some other people were trying to fight the fires in that area, in the area where he was staying, his vehicle got stuck in a ditch, and it was impossible for him to escape the fires. He was virtually trapped. Other young firefighters that was helping him to do their part in getting the fire under control, they managed to find a gap behind the fire, behind the fire line, and they escaped through that. One of them was 13-year-old Fred Everard. He was lucky enough to escape with 25% burn wounds, mainly on his arms and his legs, but unfortunately Basie van der Walt, he burned to death in that fire. If you see the picture on the left hand side of the screen is a little mealie plant with a pink ribbon on it. That was done, and the photograph was taken by Burre Burger. That was done in remembering Basie for his role in the community and for his presence in the community. A big guy that was loved by a lot of people. The background that I got on Basie van der Walt was that there was absolutely just about nothing that this guy could do wrong. He was such a pillar in the community, and a well-liked and a loved guy. He leaves behind his 15-year-old daughter. He wasn't there for her birthday. It was her birthday a few days after that, and his wife Corley. Due to the circumstances and his death, Basie will be remembered next year at the Witkruis Monument, and his family will be invited to come and plant a cross remembering his death and his sacrifice as well. It was probably one of the most difficult pieces I ever had to record in the past few months that I was speaking about farm murders. Yes, I lose it here and there every now and then, but this was a particularly difficult one because he was just caught up, he couldn't go anywhere. But nonetheless, in the recent fire season, now if we talk fire season, It's specifically very dry in South Africa in the July, August, September months, just prior to the first spring rains. And we had a coverage of fire from the eastern areas, the Mpumalanga areas closer to Swaziland and Northern Natal, or Northern KwaZulu-Natal, across the Free State, the Northern Cape, Northwest Province. A lot of areas were very hard hit, and there was a lot of pasturage that was actually lost. In one area, and I'm not at liberty to say, and I cannot say because of the sensitivity of the information, a total of 15,362 bird scars were counted. The total area of pasturage lost in that specific area was 1.233 million hectares. And not because of a normal fire season, because of not even suspected but proven arson in those areas. Unfortunately, I did not think of it to load that specific photograph where the grass is plucked and then laid in a line next to the firing line, or next to the grass or the bush line, and then this is this bundle of grass is lit, and then the fire spreads into the veld. Now, a lot of times these little bundles of grass actually stay intact because it burns a bit, and then the fire takes it, and then they just put it out. But they don't remove that evidence. So the evidence is there that it's definitely arson. And there's a lot of pasturage, there's a lot of animals that's been lost, and I'm getting to another part of this as well. The damage to animals, death of animals, burnt animals, is incredible. I spoke in one of the videos, I spoke about the scorched earth policy, which is a war tactic. And this is what's happening in South Africa. It's not normal. The fire season we had in the past 2-3 months is not normal. Recently we had some very good rains, especially today in Johannesburg and most parts of the central interior. But the veld, it takes a good 4 weeks to recover to a point where one can consider sending flocks in for grazing. Now, a lot of these animals are alive, and I was fortunate enough to be shared a voice note by a veterinarian from the Vryburg area, Dr. Carmen Nel. Now, for those of you that followed the White Cross Monument events and the past few weeks since the or before the planting, and also one of my videos I mentioned as well, Dr. Nel is also the daughter of Dr. Karel Nel. He was murdered in the Bessiesvlei area at the end of July 2023, and he was remembered with a cross at the Witkruis Monument as well. With all these animals being burnt, the ability or the willingness to eat, I mean, if you don't feel well, you're not really going to be craving for food. It's normal. Like Dr. Nel described, even if you burn yourself, that burn wound, even though very small, I mean, let's say for instance you burn yourself with a lighter, you feel it with a cigarette lighter, you feel it for about 5-10 minutes after that. But when going through a fire in these conditions, these animals are severely burnt. And a lot of cattle sustained these injuries. Like I said, we consulted with Dr. Carmen Nel, and there were recommendations for certain creams and ointments that is needed to treat these animals. Once their condition improves, then they start eating a bit as well. So that it is possible to pull these animals through in the end. Now, I'm not going to try and keep up with Dr. Carmen and my friend Chris Harmse on the product knowledge, because she's a vet and he's a farmer, but I'm going to put it up on the screen, and I'm going to put the prices on there as well, so that you see that what we are dealing with at the moment. And these things are urgent because we need a burn kit, or like we say in Afrikaans, we need a brandtassie, which is like a small kit that's got certain things in it. I'm going to show you some of the products that's been used, and that's in very short supply. And even with these farmers that lost virtually everything, the bit of cattle that they still have is very precious. So cash is in very short supply, and we need funding, not to help the farmers, but to get the products, or to purchase the products to get the cattle to pull through at least, so that when conditions actually improve on these farms, that farmers has got some cattle to actually continue farming. On the left we have Effie-Vet Skin and Wound Cleaner. Now I think that looks more like about a 300 to 500 milliliter bottle, and that is at a cost of 235 Rand, South African Rand. The one on the left is AcrySulf, which is 237 Rand, South African Rand. And then the other products that is also considered but is not going to be applied to at this point is Wound Magic and milk cream. Now the farmers would know what milk cream is, because you actually take that milk cream and you use it when you start milking the cows. As you can see, the product on the left is a skin and wound cleaner. These wounds do get septic. I mean, there's a bit of dust, and there's some a bit of this going into the wounds, and it's normal for those wounds to get a bit septic. So the wound and the skin and wound cleaner is quite urgent and very effective, and that comes at a price of 235 Rand, or South African Rand. Then the one on the right is it protects damaged skin. It's about, if I use my logic, then AcrySulf, it means there's a bit of sulfur in it, or sulfates. I'm not sure what the ingredients are, but that comes at a price of 237 South African Rand. Then the Wound Magic, that's an ointment that's been put on the wound. That's for animal emergencies. And then the good old milking cream. Now the milk farmers would know what this is out of the old days. We used to call it Milk Sulf. And the cream is actually applied to the teats of the cow before you start milking it, creating less friction and more effective milking of the cows. Now, I'm not one that is very good at asking for money or for donations, but I'm asking on behalf of the farming community in South Africa, please, we need donations. Please, we need help. Some of these farmers have lost virtually everything, and it is almost impossible for them to take any product that they have and sell that to a butchery or a market, because there's nothing. In some of these areas it's black, and like I said earlier on, even with good rains like we had in the Gauteng area, in the central parts of South Africa today, it takes about 4 weeks for the veld to get to a point where you can start considering pasturage. So I'm going to put it up on the screen, But before I do that, these emergency kits cost up to R1,000, and it's critical that we get these products, and that the quality of life of the cattle that's still alive can be improved, and that they can be pulled through. I must also mention that for any donation in South Africa, Section 18A certificates will be issued or can be issued, and I'm going to put the banking details on the screen so that we can go through that. The banking details here with for the Bittereinders Jeugbeweging, that's the Bittereinders Youth Movement. It's with First National Bank. The account number is 6276-188-6294, and the branch is Elderaine, and the branch code 251145. Although I think the for EFTs you might have a general branch code that's going to work. The other option I have, that's for any donations from abroad, please, if you can use the following PayPal account. It's at Witkrys Monument, WITKRUIS Monument. And if there's any problems, please send me a mail to Buggoutzza, that's BUGGOUTZA@gmail.com, and I will gladly supply you these details. Then from my side, I think I've said enough. I've said all I needed to say. If you like this presentation, if you find it valuable, please like, please subscribe, please share this so that we can get the message out, especially with donations. We really need it for these farmers. And then the final say is for the people that supported me. This video was only possible with the diligence and the hard work of my colleagues on the Witkrys Monument Farm Murders and Attacks Group, where our own research and verification was not used. The applicable credit was given, but all the data, all the information in this presentation was data that was gathered and obtained by the Witkrys Monument research team. Thank you so much for your support and for all the hard work that went on behind the scenes. This is all from me. We might be putting forward another one tomorrow. I'm trying to see if I can get the fast balls out on the Wednesday again, and I've got some material that I need to share with you. I'm busy with the research for it, and hopefully the research and the video works for two people that's now been missing for about 2 months. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day.